Guys, I hope y'all are having a good day. So we are back with some content. Today is the day we are installing the Smeding diesel compound turbos on the 6.7. This might be a several part video, so please make sure you subscribe to the channel with the bell notifications tapped so that way you know when each part gets uploaded. But we're jumping into it, okay? So I'm not even gonna start, I'm just gonna roll right into it. So we're gonna start. I got a lot of things set up, so enjoy. Alright, so first order of business, you guys. When you want to do this install, you want to go ahead and get your manifold flipped upside down in this position if it wasn't already, okay? I do recommend some exhaust manifold studs. Helps make installing the manifold 10 times easier, and it looks clean too. Alright, so once you have that set up, torqued down, everything's good. We're going to go ahead and set up our turbos now. I highly recommend you take your turbo apart. Take the turbine housing off and take your compressor housing off. Super simple. All it is going to be a V-band clamp. And if it's not a V-band clamp, it's going to be, well, not a V-band, but a band clamp. If it's not that, it's going to be these little plates with these screws holding it on. Take off your compressor cover and remove the turbo from the actual housing. It makes it way easier to install and set up. Now, before you even mount this into the truck, you want to get your fittings on because it's going to be a lot easier doing it here than there. So this is going to be our bottom drain fitting for both of the turbos. You want to go ahead and install those O-rings, and then they give you the provided Allen screws. What I like to do is get a little blue Loctite, put that on, and then put them in. Make sure you get these real snug, because if you just tighten them down till it's done, there is a chance you might get a little leak from your drain side. Okay, if you're curious which side is your drain side is going to have a big gaping hole on it because it's gravity drained, and then your feed side is threaded. Okay, so that is your oil feed side. This is the side going to your oil, or coming from your oil filter housing, and then this is the side for your drain side. So both turbos are the same way. I'm gonna go ahead and put these on and show you what it looks like after. Alright, so now we got the drain on. Now we're going to do the oil feed fitting. You're going to get two oil feed fittings. They're going to look like this. This is what it looks like when you get it. Two of these are going to be 5/8. All you do is come on the top side right there. I put a little blue Loctite on here just because. Come on here and just run that in. Okay, you don't need any O-rings or anything for this because it's not going to go all the way down to the bottom, but it's going to be in there good. And then obviously you want to, well, you know what, let me get a socket. Once you get it down, just go ahead and tighten her up. I like to get these nice and snug. That way, now you don't want to go balls to the walls hard because then you can end up stripping it, or but definitely don't be afraid to get them snug. So right there, sitting pretty. Got a little excess Loctite on there. Wipe that up. Okay, this side's done. So we got oil fitting installed, drain fitted installed. I'm going to go ahead and do this exact same thing for the other turbo, and then we're going to keep moving on. Alright, next thing we have, you guys, is two drain plug fittings that are going to go into your block. So you guys, you're going to have to punch out, you're going to have to knock out one of your freeze plugs. I don't know about freeze plugs, but you're going to have to knock out one of your block plugs right there. You're going to have to knock that guy out easy way. Get a punch, hit it at the bottom of one side. It's going to twist it, kind of like parallel. It's going to twist it, and then get some pliers and pull it out, straight out. Don't let that fall in your engine. And then over here we got the Oem Drain. So you would just come over here, go ahead and put some grease or some petroleum or something, some lube, never go in dry, and you would just put that in there. I can't do it with one hand, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that in and show y'all. Alright, you guys, so after tapping it from the side, at the lip of the edge, this is what it's gonna look like at the point. Do not go crazy, just get your needle nose pliers, pull it straight out, and you should be good to go. Alright, you guys, we got the drain fittings installed. Very important, do not half-ass it. Make sure you push the fitting in all the way until it's fully seated. It might seem real tight, and if it's only halfway in, you're gonna have to get a rubber mallet and just pretty much beat it up. I put a rag over mine and just pounded it for like a minute, and it went in. I've seen and heard about these not being fully seated, and what happens is it pops out while driving, and your turbo, you pretty much wipe out an entire engine because all your oil is being pumped on the floor. So make sure, 100% sure, that these fittings are installed and seated all the way. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and mount our frame, we're gonna mount the housing for our S300 turbo. This is gonna go directly on top of the manifold, okay? In your kit, you're also gonna receive 2 gaskets that match up and a spacer, okay? You need to make sure the spacer gets installed with it. That way it's spaced out correctly, okay? And then obviously you got gaskets, one side for each side, so two gaskets. And then in your hardware, you're gonna have these Allen heads. The size I'm not familiar with, but what does it say, 12.9? Anyways, you're gonna use 4 of these, okay? These are long enough to mount this, all right? When you'll see how I install it for operation. Alright guys, so I went ahead and got that all tightened up. This is what it should look like installed. This is the front side. The back side is obviously on the back side. Got a little dirty, but I can wipe all that down. Probably gonna have to remove the coolant reroute line right there, because that's dead smack dab in the way of the actual compressor and turbine wheels and stuff. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is on the top side of the turbo, we're gonna go ahead and install our down pipe or our down elbow. So it's going to be over here, because what we're getting ready to do is install our second housing. Okay, so I have right here the pipe with the V-band clamp. Okay, we're going to go ahead and install this on the back side of the turbo. Once I get that on, show you one thing I forgot to mention, you guys. So for that elbow that goes in the back of the S300 turbo, if you're doing a T4 setup, which is like mine, Smeding includes a spacer that you will put onto that elbow with a clamp, and then you'll come back with this clamp and you'll mount it to the back side of that turbo. Okay, so I'm gonna mount this right now. Okay, that's what it looks like, y'all. I got my band clamps facing, well, the back band clamp you're looking at, that one was already tightened before I put it on, but if I needed to, I would be able to get to it. And then this one, I intentionally have it facing this way, so that way it's easy access to get to the clamp. Always position your clamps so that way if you need to do maintenance, you won't have to be struggling to loosen a clamp, because it's pretty silly to get pissed. So if you look down here, you can see that this is kind of hovering right over that bracket. What's going to happen is when I come with the S480 housing, it's going to go right here in between. I left this loose enough to where I can shimmy it a little bit. I can move it that way for, you know, fine adjustments. All right, you guys, so before I continue, I figure at this point I'll show you guys what I did. So real quick, I went ahead and drained all the coolant out the engine block just to get it empty. I'm gonna be doing a full coolant, it's pretty much brand new coolant anyways. So I went ahead and took the plug out. It's just this Allen screw right here. I took that out and I drained all the coolant, drained it into the bucket. Reason being is because we're gonna be doing a pusher intake riser tube delete. So I'm sorry, we're going to be doing a riser tube delete. So we're going to be removing this tube because, as you can see, it's in contact, it's going to be in the way for our compressor cover, and then along with the actual turbo, the turbines. So we're going to be deleting this today. FedEx should be bringing the kit. I had it next day out here, so we should get that on too. Just trying to make sure, but yeah, that was it really. So we went ahead and drained it because right now is the best time to drain the coolant from the block, because there's no turbo in the way right here. So the last thing you want is to put the bottom turbo in, coolant splashes all over it. So if you're going to be doing the same thing like me, I highly advise, before you even start the job, just go ahead and drain all the coolant out the way. All right, you guys, so after a lot of time, I had to do a bunch of stuff. Actually, one of I don't know if he's a subscriber or not, but somebody who watches me or knew about me knew I was doing this kit and sent me some pictures. So that bracket that I previously showed you guys, you might not even see it, but there's supposed to be a support bracket there. Yeah, no, it's not. I took it off. He didn't run it on his setup either, exact same setup like mine. It was that bracket, Smeding felt bad with that bracket because that bracket was nowhere near close. I don't know in what world or what truck they were able to get that bracket to work perfectly fine, but it definitely did not work in this application. So what we did is, and the bolts they gave us, so they gave us some bolts. Actually, I got one on me right now. I'll show you guys real quick. In my pocket, because I took it with me to the hardware or to the parts store. They provide these bolts with the kit. This bolt is not even long enough. Let me zoom in for y'all. This bolt is not even long enough for this setup. None of them are. So that was a problem. So these weren't long enough, so I had to get longer bolts. So what I did was I went to the store, got some grade 8 bolts with some grade 8 nuts. Grade 8 bolts are going to be good. I went ahead and put a lock washer on the nut side to kind of help it out, and I also applied some anti-seize. This was the biggest issue I was having, was this getting this bottom turbo installed and stuff. But once I got that email, I saw how his setup was fully installed. I'm gonna look his name up and thank him, but anyways, it worked out good. So now what we're gonna do from this point is we're gonna put the downpipe on, because what's gonna happen is we that band clamp holding that elbow up there, it's not 100% tight, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna be clocking and positioning this turbo to where the downpipe will be able to run down into the back straight without any hindrance or contacting anything. Once we get the downpipe on, we can go ahead and install the lower body or the S480 turbo or compressor housing. We'll go ahead and install that band clamper up. Also, for the top side, go ahead and that standpipe that runs from back here, it runs from the firewall, and then it usually runs down, comes across. That is going to have to get removed as well. You will not be, if you're going to have to bend it, and that's a hard piece of pipe. You're going to have to bend it to make it work. If not, you're not going to be able to set that up correctly down there with the traditional standpipe in here. We got the pusher standpipe or coolant reroute set up right here, so we can get this out of the way. I believe pretty much the kit does is you cut right here, install the fitting adapter, run the hose to the standpipe over there on the block, and then that's it. So it should get rid of that. But I got some heater hose here. I'm not going to route it just yet because I want to get all the piping and everything installed, so that way I can make sure, you want to make sure that this line is not going to contact with anything hot, okay? If it's going to be in contact with some sort of hot material, it's going to burn through it. You're going to piss all your coolant out. It's going to be a bad day for you. So make sure you route it correctly if you're going to go that route that I'm taking. But yeah, this is a learning curve. So I just wanted to show you guys or give you guys a couple tips. Ooh, man, that looks good. Y'all see that? Yeah. We're making some headway now, baby. I feel like I'm finally getting somewhere. Ooh, that downpipe, no, it looked good. 5-inch, back to the 5-inch, y'all. I had a 4-inch with the HX40 downpipe. Back to the good old 5-inch, man. So this is gonna be a stopping point. This will be part 1. Part 2 will be obviously finishing everything else and showing the coolant setup, how I routed the coolant and whatnot. But yeah, man, this looks good. I went ahead and mounted the turbine housing. The housing inside of it. Oh man, put the band clamp on there. Rule of thumb, always put your band clamps facing outwards. It makes it tightening a hell of a lot easier. And now when you're looking in here, you actually can see why I said install your fittings first, because how much of a pain in the butt would that be installing your fittings in that small little gap? You know what I'm saying? So gotta think smart. We got the compressor, the cover housings will be the last thing that goes on here. But yeah, you guys, hopefully this is I wanted this to be as detailed as possible. That way people out there in the same shoes. For the most part, on all these, on the 5, 9, 6, 7 Cummins, the 24 valves, installing the compounds like this is pretty much the same concept. Pusher, Rolly Custom, it just depends. If you're doing the S300, 400 compound setup, it doesn't really matter who you get it from. It's roughly going to be the same concept. You definitely are going to have to take out the this guy. You're gonna have to take this out, because at least I did, because there's no way that was gonna stay in there with the angles and where it was at, and for me to be able to mount that up correctly, which is cool though, because what it's looking like, what's gonna happen is it looks like that I'm gonna go ahead and route that, and then that right there is my negative terminal for passenger battery. I'm gonna go ahead, it's gonna clear. It's not gonna be in the way of any hot stuff, which is perfect. So it's gonna clear, so I'm gonna probably end up zip tying it to, well, I'll probably wrap it first and then zip tie it. That way the zip tie doesn't eat through the rubber. But it looks like it's gonna work out a-okay. Super excited, you guys. Man. Soon enough, my child, soon enough. Look like two boobies. They'll be on there. Oh, snap. All right, you guys. That's going to do it for part one. So a couple things recapping, okay? So if you're the type of person that's never done a turbo, I do not, when I say this, I highly do not recommend you putting compounds on your truck as your first experience putting on turbos. You can do it. Absolutely, you can do it without a doubt. But be prepared, knuckle busting, working in tight spots. If you're a person with short arms, you might want to get a buddy with some long arms, long fingers like me. You know, you're a lot of up and down, a lot of working, bending. You know, I woke up this morning, my back was sore as heck. If you're doing it by one man, you definitely can do it because obviously you guys saw me do it. I just wanted it to be as in-depth as possible. You know, I felt like the style I'm doing where I'm explaining it and then showing it is working good just because, I mean, you seeing me tighten down a bolt and a nut, like that's not helping you. It's pretty common sense how to do that, but actually explaining how things go together in what order is the ultimate goal I wanted to have when doing this compound setup. And so far I feel like it's going good. So you guys, thank you so much for checking out the channel. I can't wait to see you guys next video. We'll get this baby cranked up. We won't drive it though because track bar's not on, waiting on the new one to come in still. Should be here this week sometime. But yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So if you guys truly enjoyed this, please go ahead and smash the thumbs up. It helps the channel out so much. This is going to be the first YouTube video on YouTube featuring how to install compounds on a 6.7 Cummins. More specifically, how to install a S300, S400 setup, compound setup. Okay, a lot of cats have the add a turbo where they already have a turbo in there. They have the stock HE351 or the stock 3, whatever the 5.9 stock Cummins is. They're in there, so they just have to add the turbo on top. But this is a true S300 second gen style, S300 second gen style, S400 setup, compound setup getting installed. Nobody else on YouTube has this. I'm the only one that's going to be putting this content out. So I'm hoping this is going to help out the community so much. So if it does, smash the thumbs up because I want this video to get out to as many people as possible. So thank you guys for checking out the channel. See you guys in the next video, part 2.